right, hello. We're back. House in Fata Morgana Reincarnation again tonight. I am so excited to go back to our Cafe AU sort of fan fiction type thing. I just love this. Like, we've gone through the spooky and the tragic, and now hopefully we get everyone's happy, even if we do have to do some work to help Morgana. So, fingers crossed. If you're new here, my name is Kels. Nice to meet you. You'll be hearing me talk a hell of a lot. So, um, yeah. Yay! You got Twitch chat working on Firefox again! Very glad to hear that. Maybe Twitch is shaken up. Finally. Excellent. All right, so we'll recap and then we'll just get into it. All right, so Reincarnation kicked off with Morgana and Michael's souls saying goodbye but promising to be friends if they meet again. Michael believes Morgana's wish was the final miracle that reunited him with Giselle, and they met up to begin living together in a huge building his parents inherited. Giselle was super impressed by how extravagant it was, and he was pondering when it would be a good time to propose. While they were shopping for a wardrobe, they came across Maria complaining about losing her job. Giselle did a poor job of pretending she remembers Maria from anywhere in this current life while she ranted about her boss closing the shop out of nowhere, and Michael offered to give her a room in the apartment. Michael is starting to lose memories of meeting souls in the house as he made new memories with Giselle and had no intention of reuniting with anyone else from their past lives besides Morgana. He had a dream of Morgana pleading for help and told Giselle about it, so she wants to find Morgana now. Her ambition is to have her own shop, so Michael ended up offering to let her reopen the building's abandoned cafe, but she panicked about the logistics and potential failure. Then he turned it into a marriage proposal and she fainted. I'm so glad we got to see the proposal, but if I don't get to see the wedding, I will riot. Just warning people now. She ended up asking Maria for advice and offering her a job. Maria dragged in her acquaintance Yukimasa to be the carpenter, and the new neighbor is another familiar face. Flashback to a year ago, Nellie and her friends were visiting Paris, and she got lost without a charged phone and ran into Mel. She immediately clung to him as her prince from the neighboring school in London. He charged her phone and recognized her for having the same hair as him. Mel mentioned working at an antique shop on their pseudo date, and they sat in Maria's empty cafe. Mel explained that he's there for work, told her to cherish her friendships, and geeked out about history. Maria told them about her brief visit to England, gave them her info, and flagged them as siblings. When they got back to London, they grew closer, but then they turned out to be long-lost siblings, and their parents are getting back together. I'm still so sad for Nellie. I thought maybe she was going to, get some sort of redemption there, like maybe they wouldn't actually be siblings. But now, girl is cursed. I mean, she's blessed to have a brother that cares about her, but also, poor girl is cursed. Mel is looking forward to living together, but Nellie is still shooketh by the fact that they came from the same womb and threw a tantrum in private. Mel and his dad moved into Nellie's house. Mel got the parents to go on a vacation alone and leave him and Nellie at the house where they ordered pizza. She hopes she can turn her love for him into an appropriate familiar love, but the closest she got was hating his caterwaulet pajamas. Mel wants to leave when he grows up, but was caught off guard by Nellie having the same affection for him as what his dream of Morgana reminded him he rejected in a past life. Yeah, poor Nellie still isn't getting what she wants, but it's okay. Maybe she'll move to Paris and then she'll have all new friends that in the building she lives in, and I have dreams, okay? I have hopes. Mel, get up. Wake up. It's morning. Wakey, wakey. It's morning. Is it an earthquake? Wait, Nellie, you can wake me up without blowing my eardrums out. Yeah, exactly. Nellie's getting nothing she wants, but at least it's funny and she isn't scalping anyone. So, also, she's not inundated with those memories of the past like he is, which I find only fair. She didn't do shit. She was just sick and died. First. And then in their later life, we don't talk about that. But is that so? Because you certainly seem to sleep just fine through anything quieter. And I thought you would be an early riser. I didn't sleep in that long, did I? Wait, you can't just come into my room uninvited. Aw, what's the big deal? It's fine. We're brother and sister. Now get up and drag your sleepy bum downstairs already, okay? I made breakfast for us. You're going to love it. It feels like a hurricane just blew through my room. I ended up not getting much sleep last night because of that dream. Which was strange, since normally I didn't have any trouble sleeping, even in unfamiliar environments. Well, lucky fucking you. But anyway, I needed to get changed and head down to the living room quickly. If I dawdled for too long, Hurricane Nellie might decide to come back around for a second visit. I'd been planning to make breakfast for both of us, so I wasn't sure how to feel about her having beaten me to the punch. Weren't you just complaining, like, last time that you wanted a meal cooked by someone younger than you, which I thought was a very weird thing to want? It would be fine, right? Okay, I did not think about whether or not it's edible. Hold that thought. Maybe it's baked. She can bake. She mentioned baking sweets, so. Wow. I'm not sure I'd call this breakfast. It looks more like diabetes on a plate. It was anything but fine. I'd stumbled into the living room still half asleep, but when I saw what was spread out on the table, I jolted awake in an instant. Nellie stood in front of it, her arms spread wide and a giant grin on her face. Some kind of freshly baked pastries drenched in chocolate, decorated with whipped cream and sprinkles, and inexplicably with a candle sticking out of each one. Dude, she baked those for you. Like, at least be grateful before you start bitching. Exactly. Ice cream for breakfast. My mind would have preferred to believe this a continuation of my nightmare, rather than accept the dizzying saccharine fog hanging in the living room as reality. Diabetes? What are you, 40? Give it a try. I promise you'll love it. Here, open up. I'll eat it. I'll eat it. Just please don't try to feed it to me. I do enjoy spending time with her, but my body's going to revolt if we don't start eating a little better. Ever so slowly, I carried a forkful into my mouth and was practically knocked out cold by an onslaught of sugary violence. Yeah, as someone who also does not like super sweet things, look, I'd eat it because she made it and clearly she's very proud of it, and, like, denying her would break her heart, but I feel him here. He can probably smell the sugar and feels overwhelmed. Yeah. It was so intense I wanted to munch on a salt lick just to counter the sweetness. After forcing myself through one chocolate death cake, Nellie giddily announced that I was welcome to as many more as I wanted. I politely turned her down. So, what do you want to do today? Exactly. Have a taste, save the rest for an after breakfast dessert. I will say, I am one of those people. So, when Lemur and I a couple years ago went to Super Nintendo World, there was this gorgeous Princess Peach cake, and I knew I wanted to order it, just for the aesthetic. It was beautiful. I have pictures. I can post them on social media later. But I think I took like 2 bites of that thing because it was so sweet, and Lemur had to finish the rest of it. And then Lemur had to walk around for ages on a sugar high. Like, she was not feeling fantastic after she ate. She didn't even finish it. She didn't even finish it, if I remember correctly. Uh, so if you ever go to Super Nintendo World, that peach cake, split it between like 4 people. Ooh, I love a good mifi. So, that sounds tasty. Nellie looked up at me with a glimmer in her eyes. It was Sunday, and we had nothing scheduled for the day. I think we should have go outside today. Yeah, we did spend all day yesterday watching TV. So, where do you want to go? The zoo? A theme park? Shopping? Let's go to the grocery store. We need food for proper meals and some stuff for around the house. And then we should do some cleaning. You're joking. Why would I want to waste this fabulous week without Mum doing boring old housework? What's wrong with ordering pizza every day? As long as you accept the risk that you might not be able to fit into any of your clothes by the end of the week. Ugh, I don't. Fine, you win. We're going grocery shopping. But after that, we can do something fun, right? After that, we'll do homework. Seriously? We have school tomorrow, Nellie, and you haven't touched your weekend homework, have you? But hold on. This is a special occasion. No one's going to get mad if we take a couple days off after your big move. I will. You need to do your homework, and if I don't, I won't spend any time with you next weekend. Seriously, he turned into such an upstanding young man compared to what he was in his past lives. I have a feeling that we're going to come on the reveal that he has basically been poor and scraped by his entire life because his dad was too busy paying Nellie's mom. That's my guess as to what we're going to come to here. Ugh, you're such a bully, Mel. Conversations like these make me feel like I'm dealing with a sister much younger than me, not only 3 years. Okay, then how about this? You help me with my homework. That'll get me to do it. I'd be happy to. Now let's get ready to go. With our plan finally hammered out, we headed to a nearby grocery store. As we perused the store, I had to fend off Nellie trying to throw every kind of junk food imaginable into the cart. And even when she chose items we did need, she always seemed to select the most expensive variety. I wish she would be more conscientious of the fact that we had a budget to maintain. Girl, I don't think has ever had a budget. He is a really good bean. We think, so far. We thought previous Mels were a good bean too, though. So, I don't know. He's fooled me before. I'm not ready to jump on the bandwagon yet. When I asked if this was how she always shopped, she said that no, today was a special occasion. Apparently, she wanted a taste of a noble's lifestyle, which got a stifled chuckle out of me when she said it. Somehow, I don't think actual nobles spend much time in a grocery store. And formalities aside, she had essentially lived like nobility her whole life, want for nothing. Every time she said or did something oblivious to the concept of money, it was like a punch to my gut. But I did my best to feign my amusement, just laughing along with her. Yeah, we did very quickly flag the first Mel as insensitive, so I don't know. There's something off still about this one, though. Like, I can't really describe it. I don't know what. Also, has he not needed to work this entire time? Like, what happened to his job at the antique store? When we returned home, we split the chores between the two of us. Nellie, however, didn't seem to have much experience doing work around the house. I had to step in to stop her from putting way too much detergent in the washing machine, and then again from mixing chemicals that would create a noxious gas when combined. All in all, it was a minor disaster, and I ended up doing more work than if I'd handled it all myself, but the excitement was also strangely enjoyable. And she did listen attentively when I told her what she was doing was wrong. Before her mom left, as she was heading out the door, she leaned in and whispered to me, I hope Nellie's not too much of a handful. She can be very inconsiderate and a bit of a brat sometimes. Okay, Mom, what the hell? And while she was indeed a bit self-absorbed, Nellie was a pleasant ball of joy most of the time. Maybe she was only bratty to her mother. It wasn't hard to imagine Nellie pushing back against every little thing if her mother was constantly in her hair, which was the impression I had of them. That degree of attention was proof of how much she loved her daughter. But a girl Nellie's age might not see it the same way. I was able to make that observation mostly because I didn't have a nagging parent in my life, and the one I had, being a guy, might have contributed as well. Though he always felt like less of a parent and more a roommate. Which I guess was because he usually seemed more concerned about his ex-wife than me. In fact, I frequently got the impression he was just using my presence as a way to convince her to let him see her again. Dad also did make an effort to raise me as best he could, so I wasn't going to accuse him of neglect or anything, but there was still a constant sense that I was not very high on his, or anyone's, priority list. For Dad, his ex-wife was the most important person in his life. For her, my mom, Nellie was. Which left no one to have me at the top of their list. Well, Nellie has. Now. You're her precious Mel. Maybe someday. I don't know. Yeah, the fact that he's saying Nellie's mom. I mean, I think Nellie does the same thing where she calls her dad Mel's dad. So everyone's kind of got that weird distance. I mean, they've not really known each other. So it's a very weird thing to just all of a sudden have them move in together. Like I don't the fact that these two are getting along so well, I don't think would happen in a normal circumstance, where they didn't have the centuries old tragedy in the past. Nellie's face flashed through my mind. Did I think she would be able to did I think she would be willing to love me most? That was a lot to hope for of a sister who barely knew me. Uh, mm, I don't get any of it. I'm tired. I need a break. I need sugar to recharge my brain. It hasn't even been half an hour since we started, Nellie. And did you forget how much sugar you had this morning? You're saying you need more. I always have room for sweets. Mom gets upset at me if I eat too much, so I keep a stash hidden in my room where she can't find it. Nellie rifled through her desk drawer, pulling out a tin of cookies. I was impressed she didn't put on more weight with how much she snacked. Or maybe she was small because snacking was all she did. Either way, it was my first time in Nellie's room, and there was a lot to take in. More stuffed animals than I could count, photos of musicians plastering the walls, stacks of CDs, a stockpile of makeup, books. Oh, hey, that book's being turned into a TV show, isn't it? The girls in my class were really excited about it. Have you already read it? You bet I have. It's super popular right now. I'd be left out if I didn't know what everyone was talking about. Oh, wow. Being a girl sounds complicated. So, what's it about? It's about an ensemble cast of teens, everyone with their own problems they're trying to deal with. It's super relatable. And in the newest books, there's this huge bombshell about my favorite girl. It turns out the guy she likes is actually her blood related. What's the matter, Nellie? Oh, nothing. It just got me thinking about it again. Oh? Anyway, it sounds like that girl has it pretty rough, huh? She could probably work through almost anything else, but there's not much she can do if they're blood related. That is amazing. Look, if someone had taught me math by pretending the vehicle they were calculating the velocity of was Cloud Strife's motorcycle, I probably would have done a little bit better in math. Not saying I did badly in math, but also I did spend a lot of time going, who the fuck cares? So, is there really nothing they could do? Couldn't they maybe elope to somewhere no one knows them? That's not a practical solution. It doesn't matter if no one knows them. They're still related, and nothing can change that. Though you can brush a lot of that under the rug in fiction. Just send them off, say they lived happily ever after, and end it there. But in the real world, their lives don't stop there. You can't slap a happily ever after over the fundamental problem. If she wants to live a happy, fulfilling life in our modern day society, her best option is to let go and find someone else. Exactly. See, this is why I need to help you with biology homework, too. Oh, but it's a story, not real life. So they could definitely get together in that context. Yeah, you can do that in stories. I'm probably overthinking it. But does Nellie. I considered myself fairly inept at reading people, but Nellie was so blatant about it, even someone as dense as me could pick up on the signals. There we go. Nellie becomes a doujinshi author. I'm very curious. Like, the series that she's reading, does it have any relation to the other two stories, too? Like, is Morgana the author or something? I feel like she could be a good author. I don't have any, like, basis for that, but I'd like to think her. I don't know. Happily writing books about, I guess, her tragedy if I think it through a little bit harder. No, don't be stupid. I'm her brother, for goodness sake, and she knows that as well as me. Okay, you guys have known your brother and sister for a whole, like, 2 weeks now, if I remember correctly. Yeah, I'm reading too much into it. I have to be. I could only see Nellie as a sister, nothing more. It was true I had taken a minor interest in her before we properly met, but that was only because, as I'd told her, if I felt as though we'd met somewhere before, which in retrospect was probably because I subconsciously recognized her as family. I was curious about her because she was my sister. But what about her? Nellie had no memory of me at all. She was still a baby when our parents split up, so she couldn't have possibly recognized me, even unconsciously. It would be harder for her to recategorize me from boy she knows to older brother. Could my moving in feel to her like any other older guy suddenly intruding on her space? Regardless of how it felt, though, we were still siblings. Nothing could sever the blood that bound us. So even if she did, by some impossible chance, have non sisterly feelings for me now, they would surely fade in time. At worst, it would be nothing more than a fleeting adoration. She would sort through whatever she was feeling soon enough, and that would be the end of that. There were billions of other men in the world, after all. Regardless, it would probably be smart to keep some distance until that happened. At first, I had thought it best to try to break the ice as quickly as possible, since we'd be family our whole lives, but there was a definite possibility that doing so would only make things worse. Obviously, though, it'd be preferable if I were overthinking the whole thing. Why don't we get back to work, Nellie? I'd like to get to a good stopping point so I can head back to my room and handle my own homework in peace and quiet. What? Just do it here. I can be quiet for you, I promise. It's nothing you did, don't worry. I just have trouble concentrating when there are other people around. You understand, right? Yeah, sure. I understand. The work you're doing is much more advanced than anything of mine. I'll stay out of your hair today. But we should still have supper together. Yeah, we can do that. Exactly. The Westermark effect failed him. We spent most of the day in our own rooms, a drastic departure from yesterday. I felt kind of bad about lying to Nellie, knowing how excited she was to have me around. But what I'd said about not being able to concentrate with other people around was just an excuse to get some alone time. Then again, having a little space was probably normal for kids our age, certainly more so than being attached at the hip. And if Nellie's feelings for me did extend beyond simple familial love, then I wanted to keep a nice, safe distance. That was just something I wasn't equipped to deal with. A question flooded through my mind. What what did I feel about her? She was a sweet girl, there was no denying that. I was glad to have her as my sister. That was true as well. And frankly, I enjoyed the affection, which was why I wanted it to stay squarely in the brother-sister category. The question was that everything? Was there nothing else to my feelings for her? Are we going to have a role reversal here where he's actually falling for her? I don't know how to feel about any of this. Deep down in my gut, something told me that wasn't the case. That there was some crucial piece missing, like a vow of some sort. But what could it be? When could I have made a vow to her? At what point in my life was there even room for such a significant exchange to have taken place? Just a few centuries ago, it's fine. None as far as I was aware. The next day, we had school. We took the same bus from home and then split up part way. But that didn't stop her from texting me like crazy. I must have had to pull my phone out between every single class, because by the end of the day, I'd lost track of how many people had asked if I'd gotten a girlfriend. Hopefully, that would also settle down over time. I wondered how she would have been if our parents hadn't split up. If we'd grown up together, would she be any less clingy? Would she hate me like other girls her age hated their older brothers? Had we not just been together long enough for her to find anything she disliked about me yet? But something told me she wouldn't be any different, even without those 14 years apart. Was I letting the attention get to my head, though? Or was that just what I wanted to believe? that there was someone who would love me unconditionally, and that would be a pure familial kind of love, with none of the messiness inherent in the romantic kind. Was I just trying to project that fairy tale ideal onto my sister? Because if that was what I was doing, then I really was the worst kind of human scum. It would mean that I wanted her affection, but only if it was safe and utterly detached from the person giving it. Yeah, we know the answer to those questions. Mel is currently in the spiraling stage, so. It was a Friday night, almost a week since Mel had moved in. Mum and Mel's dad would be coming back from their vacation tomorrow, meaning this was the last night I would have alone with him. So, if possible, I wanted to spend as much of it as I could with him, but he'd been strangely distant these past few days. Yeah, 14 years, 400 years, what's the difference, right? He wasn't being mean to me or anything, and we still made and ate supper together all week, but it was lots of fun and all, but it wasn't enough. I wanted to spend all day with him like we did his first day here. Was that asking too much? Was I being too clingy and scared him off? Or was this how siblings were supposed to be? I think that there's a lot of layers to this because, like, neither one of them also knows what it's like to have a sibling, but also there's no normal sibling relationship that has gone through 14 years of just not knowing each other at all. They're both overthinking this shit. Today, like every other day this week, we had supper together and then spent the rest of the evening isolated in our rooms. Most nights I was able to enjoy myself alone just fine, but emptiness won out tonight. Watching videos on my phone, reading the latest big hit book, listening to my favorite albums, I tried everything, but none of it was any fun. Maybe I'll check up on him, see if he wants to have a snack break. Just something nice and casual to not put any pressure on him. That much should be okay, right? I'd done my best all week to not be overly clingy with him. So I'd pretty much earned this last night together, hadn't I? How many times do I have to tell you? No! I hear talking. Maybe he's on the phone with someone? But it's rude to eavesdrop, so I'll play along with this little family farce for a year, but no longer. But as soon as I turn 18, I'm out of here, and that's that. What? I'm being self centered, and you think you're not, Dad? I did everything you asked. The least you can do is let me have this. And anyway, you're not really leaving, are you, Mel? And after we finally got this chance to live together, too. And what do you mean, family farce? Nellie? Wait, hold on, slow down. I have to go, Dad. We can talk about this later. Really? What is it like not knowing about most of your siblings for like a dozen years? Like that seems like a massive family bombshell. Like maybe you can relate to them better than I can. Well, this is awkward. Of all the conversations you could have walked in on, it's impolite to eavesdrop, Nellie. I know, and I'm sorry, but I heard you shouting and I just couldn't. It's not eavesdropping. I'm going on a tangent for a second. It is not eavesdropping if you are causing a scene. Like, sorry, that's just apparently you're just not supposed to hear. Like, if you're trying to keep it a secret with a low voice, then that's something to eavesdrop on. If you're shouting, that's just called being perceptive. So anyway, what was that about? Tell me, Mel. Oh, nothing much, really. You know how at first you weren't exactly thrilled about having your family situation suddenly turned upside down? Well, I was the same. But you sounded fine with it then. Why didn't you object with me if you weren't happy about it either? I wasn't against them getting remarried. In fact, I wanted them to. I wasn't about to fight it and risk causing a mess of my plans to move out and go to university next year. Then why did you call it a farce? You're not making one bit of sense, Mel. I'm not. I think most people would understand where I'm coming from with a little thought, but I suppose maybe you wouldn't, considering you grew up with everything you could possibly want. Why do you sound so bitter? You're not the kind of guy to get worked up like that, Mel. I'm not, am I? You've known me for exactly a week, and you've seen every side of me now, have you? Just like I've seen every side of you, right? Well, I'll have you know I'm actually quite petty and cynical and full of self loathing. I just kept it hidden away around you. I had a feeling something was gonna snap. He couldn't be the fairy tale prince again. Did you never once stop to consider who is paying the mortgage on this house way too big for the two of you? Did you never wonder who is paying for your clothes and your groceries? Or where your allowance came from? Or how you could afford to go on vacation to Paris? Did it ever occur to you that your mom's job alone wasn't enough to cover all that? Though I guess you don't have to worry about money if you're not struggling for it, huh? Well, all of that was child support from my dad. There's no point in hiding it anymore. The first thing I thought when I stepped into this house was, wow, they sure do have it easy. I was more than a little bitter seeing you and your mom living luxuriously while I only ever had the bare minimum. You could even say it made me angry. That's what was hiding behind every smile. And there's your mom, who's my mom as well, yet I, I, um, I'm really sorry. I didn't consider any of that. I'm so sorry. No, you don't have to apologize for anything. You're not to blame for anything, and I realize that. I was just taking out my frustrations on you, and for that, I'm sorry. I'd feel even worse if you had to grow up in the same conditions as me. But that's why I want to spend as little time here as I can. Seeing your mom with my dad, it's too much for me. I I get why you're not happy about it, but I'd still wish you'd stay. You're more dear to me than anyone in the world, Mel. I don't want to have to be away from you. More than anyone in the world after only a week together? It sure doesn't take much to earn your top spot, huh? No, that's not true at all. It's more than that. It's so much more than. Your affection flatters me, but it's a fleeting thing, I promise. Before the year's over, you'll be the one asking me to leave. Every day I'm here is a day you can't live as comfortably as before. I will not. You're more important to me than a fancy lifestyle, my dearest Mel. I don't need nice clothes or sweets or anything else. Oh, she said the word. She said the word. The only thing I need in my world is you, dearest Mel. She said it again. Nellie, stop. I know you don't understand this, but. Uh-uh. Dearest Mel? You've never called me that before. It sounds like something you'd hear in a historical novel. Uh, I'm not sure where it came from either. I just said it without thinking. Please don't think I'm crazy. Not crazy, but maybe a little weird. Oh, sorry, I didn't mean to laugh at you. As hammy as the name sounds, it's also kind of. I don't know, there's something strangely familiar about it. Which I guess makes me weird too. But thanks to all this weirdness, I've managed to cool down. And while I'm being honest with you, Nellie, I kind of wish you had turned out to be unpleasant. Huh? Unpleasant? Why? Because then I could push you away until I left and not have to feel guilty about it. See? Like I said, I'm anything but a good guy. Now, this discussion's over. I'm sorry for all the grief I've caused you. We should get some sleep. My dad and your mom will be back tomorrow, and they'll want us to greet them with a smile. I'll play along with their family facade for the next year and do my best not to make any waves, so don't worry. Good night, Nellie. Go on, back to your room. Good night, Mel. So it was all just me getting myself excited over nothing. If I had stopped to think about it, maybe I would have realized we were really well off for a single mom and daughter. Mel works part time, and the only reason he had that Paris vacation was by chance. And he's way better at housework than me, too. And while I'm being honest with you, Nellie, I kind of wish you had turned out to be unpleasant. Because then I could push you away until I left and not have to feel guilty about it. See? Like I said, I'm anything but a good guy.
Mel wishes he could hate me, doesn't he? If he could, it would make the next year so much easier for him. But I love him too much to act in a way that would make him not like me. Wait, there is one thing I could do to make him hate me, and also not back down on my love.
A hazy feeling lurked deep down, that a very long time ago I'd been driven to do something unthinkable. Nellie, no. No, Nellie. Not caring whether or not it made them hate me, whether or not it destroyed everything I had. And what's stopping me from doing the same now? It was doomed from the beginning. Nothing could make us not family. Nothing could stop him from leaving. And trying to keep my love bottled up was only going to make me miserable. He thought we'd only been together for a week, that my feelings for him were fleeting. That couldn't be further from the truth. I'd had my eye on him forever. And maybe this made me sound like I watched too much TV, but I was certain that if we had been together in a previous life, I would have loved him then too. No, no ifs. We were, and I did. I was positive. Wait. He's the one who's having dreams about it. But she's got this weird psychic connection, like, you know what? I know it. We were together in a past life. This is it. Like, she's just fucking logicked it out. If she was like 10 years older, maybe she could have solved the whole Fata Morgana thing. That was the only way I had to explain why I loved him so dearly now. Nothing else made sense. Oh no. Nellie, what are you doing? Oh, Jesus Christ. I'm really dreading this. Okay, let's see how this goes. Late that night, I snuck into Mel's room. I could see his chest gently moving up and down as he slept. Which reminded me, earlier in the week he had been boasting about how deep a sleeper he was. I was kind of jealous. I had trouble sleeping anytime I had something on my mind. So tonight was a lost cause no matter how it went. Nellie? Nellie, no. Yeah, that's fair. Solving the puzzle of Fata Morgana was less about deductive reasoning and more about valuing love and empathy. To be fair, that was only because we couldn't figure out who the white-haired girl was through like 3 different rounds, so... And being 100% fair to Michael, we didn't figure it out either, so... Actually, I think I did technically kind of ease out that there was 2 of them, but... That felt like it was pretty late on.
Mel, my Mel, I love you from the bottom of my heart. So please sleep as deeply as you say.
I prayed for this dream to last just a little bit longer. Nellie, don't do this. You don't have to do any of this. Even a few short minutes with Mel as mine would be enough. I would savor every last moment I could get. Because when he woke, the spell would break, and everything would come crashing down. Huh? What? Something tickles. Huh? Nellie? What do you think you're doing? Did you just...
I did. I kissed you, Mel.
I get that you're 14, Nellie. I get that you're gonna make bad decisions. But holy shit, why are we going through this again?
Maybe you've realized it already. But I love you, Mel. And not as siblings, but in a romantic way.
Yeah, he wakes up from True Love's kiss and hallucinates white hair on her. Yeah. I can't imagine this is going to end well. Why would you tell me that after today?
Because I'd rather destroy my relationship with you than pretend to be family. It would be painful enough living with these feelings as normal brother and sister, but you won't even give me that. To you, it's all a farce. And that's too much for me to take. Not only can I not love you how I want, I don't even get to have a real sibling relationship with you. So I'm letting it all out now. I love you, Mel.
You realize what you're saying, right? We're blood related, no ifs, ands, or buts about it. You can't kiss your brother on the lips. It's wrong.
Oh, you don't have to tell me. I know exactly how wrong what I'm doing is.
Where are we going with this? Like, what is the... look, I got like with the whole white-haired girl thing, um, there was going to be murder there. I'm going to guess no one's going to die here. So,
I know that by doing this, we won't even be able to live as a fake family. And even then, I couldn't stop myself.
I know she's trying to get him to hate her, but this is a really weirdly roundabout way to do it. Like, just, I don't know, put dye in his shampoo or some shit like that. Like, there's gotta be an easier way to do this.
My love isn't fleeting. It's not something I hand out to just anyone. It's so intense I would be willing to die for you right here and now. That's how much I love you, Mel. How much I've always loved you. So why did you have to be my brother? Why am I never allowed to be happy?
Nellie, wait,
All I want from you right now, Mel, is one of two things. Either accept my love or reject me in a way so cruel I'll never be able to love you again. Please, Mel. One or the other.
yeah, that's fair. The Rosa Ushiromiya. I don't know why that was so hard for me to say. Route of pretending to be a monster. Yeah, Eva. I need to do another Uminako run. It's been ages since I played that. I, I, I'm sorry. I can't do either. Somewhere, some part of me knew that was what he would say. He was too kind-hearted to force himself to be cruel to me. And obviously, he could never accept my love either. But I could see in his eyes that there was more to his words. A distinct fear he was trying his best to conceal. Or perhaps it was closer to disgust. This was no surprise to me either. He only saw me as his sister, so of course my love would gross him out. Even if he didn't have any attachment to this family itself, I would never be a potential love interest for him. Any normal person would be turned off immediately by an advance from a family member. I knew how he would react before I stepped through the door. That was the goal. I was here to destroy everything. That'd be better off than keeping him so close but forever out of reach. I knew what the consequences would be. But knowing and experiencing are two very different things. Seeing his eyes go wide in surprise and his lips contort with disgust was like 1,000 knives to my heart. It hurt. My heart was in agony. Blood seeped from countless gaping wounds. My whole heart spilled forth, and I could do nothing to hold it back. Tears spilled forth, and I could do nothing to hold them back. I'm not going to scream because I don't want the cops called on me at 11 o'clock at night. Exactly. Morgana can't be blamed for it this time.
Nellie, come back. What are you crying for, stupid? You knew how that would go. This is what you were trying to do. This is what you wanted. So why does it hurt so much?
It all happened so quickly, I didn't have time to process it. Cold sweat streamed down my back. One thing was clear, though, even through the heavy fog in my mind. I had made a terrible mistake. It was stupid of me to tell her I couldn't pick either option. I should have chosen one or the other. But I still didn't know which was the right answer. I mean, obviously, I couldn't accept her love. So did that mean I should have cruelly rejected her instead? Kicked her to the ground and called her every horrible name I could think of? I could never.
You called her disgusting. You pushed her away. You were a terrible brother and person.
Could I really never bring myself to do that? I mean, I was hardly a saint. If she had gone just a bit further, I probably would have lashed back in a really ugly way. The biggest reason I hadn't was because I didn't want to make myself into the bad guy. Once again, I'm only thinking of myself. Damn it, I have to go after Nellie. I tried to get up out of bed, but my legs had turned to jelly. How pathetic. I had nothing to be afraid of, yet here I was, unable to move. Panic slowly welled in my gut, crawling up into my chest, my throat, my skull. Coward 1,000 years ago, coward still now. Sorry, Mel. What would I even say if I caught up to her? What did I want to tell her? The coward inside me whispered, just let her be. I was only going to be living here for a year anyway. This way I could leave with no attachments, no regrets. This way she could give up on me for good, keep her distance. It would be best for both of us. It would be easiest for both of us. That was what had motivated her as well, wasn't it? Yes, staying put would be easier in the long run. It would mean no more uncomfortable conflicts. And the door? It was so far away. There was no one who could go and bring her back. Not anymore. I didn't even know what I was supposed to say if I did. So why bother? Just don't look away. Uh-huh. Someone's voice rang out. No, not someone's. I knew that voice very well because it was my own. The shout rang strong in my mind, cutting through the thick fog that was my hesitation. I always wonder, like, does it sound to him like he would think it sounds, or is he somehow able to recognize his own voice when he speaks on a recording as well? Because I always get thrown off whenever I hear myself on recordings, and I talk a lot on these streams, so there's just something about it. It doesn't sound the same in my head, so. The boy who had made a vow shouted with all his might, shoving aside the coward who chose to close his eyes. Don't turn your back, Mel. Stop running from your problems. However mundane your life may be, you will at some point come up against a life-changing decision. And it may seem like an insurmountable wall to you, but no matter how difficult it is to make a choice, turning your back on it is the one choice you must never make. And you swore you never would, that you would be stronger to the man who offered you redemption. Yeah, keep your promise to Michael. I forgot about that. Exactly, yeah, everyone's voice sounds different to themselves because the sound vibrates through your skull, so. I had no memory of that, any of it. But somewhere deep, deep within me, my soul, if you could call it that, I was crying furiously at myself. You must never forget that vow. Right. That's right. Exactly. I like how I sound through my skull way better than how I sound to everyone else's ears. Like, I think maybe the acoustics in our skull are just better. Or at least that's what I like to tell myself. Maybe the skull is just optimal for all the vibrations. Vibrations. I made a vow to him. I swore it on my very soul. Nellie! Yay! Michael just saving relationships all the way through time and space. I made a mad dash from my room, not even bothering to change into real clothes. My legs were still a trembling mess, and my head as empty as ever. I had no plan, nothing prepared to say to her. But there was no time to think about that. All I could do was go after her. I'd made the wrong decision once, but there was still time to turn back onto the right course. And if I waited any longer, I would miss that chance too. Yeah, I know. Legs made of trembling meth. Look, there's a reason why he's having problems walking. Nellie! What are you doing here, dear Mel? Nellie, there's something I need to tell you. I don't know what the right words are. I just have to tell you. I don't know how much I'll even be able to get across, but I want you to know how I feel too. What I think too. Don't bother, Mel. I know exactly how you feel. You made it perfectly clear how much you can't stand me. You didn't even have to put it into words. No, that's not it at all. Please, at least hear me out before deciding how I feel, Nellie. You laid everything bare for me, so I feel like I have to do the same in return. The, the truth is, I'm not a pleasant or a likable guy. I'm the one who deserves your scorn, not the other way around.
Once you learn what I really am, you'll want nothing to do with me. Everything I've done has been for my own sake. I don't smile because I'm a nice person. I do it to avoid conflict, to keep myself from getting hurt. Don't say that about yourself. You've always been super nice to me. You're wonderful, like a real life prince. If I were really a prince, I would have come after you right away. In fact, I wouldn't have made you cry like that in the first place. I'm a sad, weak willed child. I'm constantly concerned about what other people think. I'm always trying to make myself look good. And to tell you the truth, it felt really nice seeing how much you liked me. But it also terrified me because siblings aren't allowed to share that kind of affection in our society. So I wanted to suppress that affection to a level that was safe for me, but without losing it entirely. I didn't think 1 second about what that meant for you. I was focused entirely on myself. I was so scared to face it head on, to risk fighting with you over it, that it took this long to bring myself to go after you. If you were so scared to, why did you come for me? Because I want to grow out of being so weak willed. No one can go through life without conflict. It's just not possible. I mean, look at us. We're at a huge fork in the road ourselves. And I realized if I didn't correct my mistake now, it would have consequences that would last the rest of our lives. That I would lose you again. I don't know how to explain it, but something tells me this isn't the first time I've been at this crossroads. Nellie, I know my words probably don't mean much to you, but I want you to know that I do care deeply about you. Or, well, I found it in myself to be able to care about you now. You've made it very, very painfully clear how much you care about me, and I have no reason to doubt your sincerity. It means a lot to me, but my love isn't romantic like yours. It's familial. Even though you said the family thing was a farce? Yes, I called it that, but that's not how I actually feel. By telling myself it was all a fraud, I could get away with just playing a role and not worrying about whether anyone actually loved me. I was so afraid of getting hurt, of butting heads, that I refused to think of it as real at all. See how much of a weasel I am? I, of all people, don't deserve to be called a prince. I'm constantly thinking about how I can avoid things, how I can make my life as easy and stress free as possible. But I want to work on fixing that. And all the while, and despite being the weasel I am, I want to ask you to remain as family. I want us to feel comfortable talking to each other about anything and everything. I want us to be equals, like a brother and sister should be. Is that an option, Nellie? Is that something we can strive for instead? Is it out of the question for us to just be supportive siblings?
Exactly, sister's owned, but in a good way this time. Not sister's owned, and then he sells her off to the highest bidder and goes after also his sister. So,
I can't accept your love, and I won't ever be able to either. But I can't bring myself to kick you to the curb either. I know it's still not either of the choices you gave me, but at least I think I'm prepared to not run from your feelings anymore. And I promise to never disdain you for your love again. I'll never think it's gross or unpleasant again. But I also want you to understand that the way I care about you is not the way you care about me. I want you to be conscious of my feelings as well. You're my sister, the only one I have, and I want to be able to stand shoulder to shoulder with you, to overcome whatever trials we may face together as siblings. Is that an acceptable compromise? I do still want to have you in my life. I realize how self-indulgent I'm being, and I'm sorry. I'm trying to have my cake and eat it too, asking you to stay in my life with one hand and pushing your feelings aside with the other. Yes, you are. You're only thinking about yourself again, dearest Mel. But still, it warms my heart to hear you say that.
Nellie.
I've never felt wanted by family before. And even if my love is doomed to wither away, being able to be with you with my feelings out in the open is like a huge weight off my shoulders. How funny is that? It's actually a big relief. I'm no less sad about it, of course. I'm just even more happy to know you understand how I feel now. I never once expected you'd take it so well. I was sure my life would be over the moment you found out. It was almost like I already knew that was what would happen. But that doesn't make any sense since this is my first time. But now it feels like I've finally managed to face you head on, and my feelings for you, after messing up again and again. Yeah, I get the same feeling, Nellie. I'll stop pushing my perfect brother and prince ideals onto you and let you be yourself. Let me try that again. Mel. I'll stop pretending you're flawless and be there for you, to support you as your sister. And I, as inattentive and self centered as I can be, will do the same for you as your brother. Yeah, we'll be able to make it work, I'm positive. I'll even do my best to be able to see you as my brother. It'll probably take some time, but I'm sure I can do it. So please, could you maybe reconsider leaving too? Let's all be a family together. For real. I will. I'll try to work at things out with mom. And I want to talk things through with my dad too. Great. Now that my nerves have relaxed a bit, my knees feel like they're going to give out. As melodramatic as it sounds, I had to muster up a lot of courage to come see you. I promise you it took me way more courage than you, Mel. You got me there. By the way, hmm? Uh, I think it's maybe time we headed back inside. We both came out in the heat of the moment, I know, but you're not really dressed to be outside, Nellie. Oh no, I completely forgot. No one saw us, did they? I I certainly hope not, at least. But we did make a pretty big scene, so there's a chance the neighbors might comment on it. Let's just pray no one could make out anything we said. Fortunately, no one had overheard our conversation, but rumors of the scene we had made that night spread through the neighborhood almost immediately. People took the intensity of our clash as a sign of how close we were, which was far preferable to them knowing that we were fight to, which was far preferable to them knowing what we were fighting about, and certainly a worthwhile price to pay for not losing Nellie forever. A little humiliation would at least fade with time. Nellie and I spent the following day, the last day of our parents' vacation, together cooking, cleaning, watching TV. It was a lot like our first day together here, and when our parents returned, they were visibly surprised at how close we appeared to be. Though Mom was most taken aback at the fact that Nellie had actually done chores. Of course, she still acted as though Nellie was her only child, and I just tagged along when she remarried Dad. There we go. Include Nellie in the fanfic about a bunch of characters with incestuous crushes and an Alcoholic Anonymous type self help group for dealing with those feelings. It does weirdly happen a lot, so, maybe they do all need a support group. It was enough to make me question if I really was her biological son. As much as yesterday's conversation had helped me to have a more positive outlook, obviously it wasn't going to magically fix all our family problems. It was slightly discouraging being treated as a second class citizen, but knowing I at least had Nellie on my side, I was able to feel like I actually belonged somewhere for once. So I wanted to return the favor by being genuine with her and moving past the empty kindness I had shown before. My goal was to stop running from every little bump in the road, which I hoped would stop my problems from piling up into something insurmountable. We could work through things together now, the two of us, so we wouldn't make mistakes we'd regret ever again, so I wouldn't have to lose her again. Okay, how does one of you or both of you get to Paris? I think that covers the souvenirs. I'm really, really sorry for leaving you two behind. Don't fret it. We kept ourselves plenty entertained back here. Oh, well, still, let's make the next vacation a family vacation. Let us know if you have anywhere you want to go, okay? We'll do whatever we can to make it happen. Mm, Let me think about it. Oh, I know. I want to go to Paris again with Nellie. And thus began a new chapter in our lives. I hadn't had any more strange dreams, and I was never able to remember who I had made that vow to.
Although my gut tells me that not remembering is for the best. The nagging feeling in the back of my mind cleared up entirely. Nellie had apparently been experiencing the same inexplicable sensation, and like magic, hers vanished too as soon as she had faced up to her problems with me. Maybe there is something more between us after all. Something in the distant past. Something significant enough that it etched itself into our souls, if souls even exist. Though it's not like we have any way of knowing, and honestly, looking forward is much more important than looking back. We've taken the first step towards becoming close siblings, but we still have plenty of work to keep it that way. After all, this new chapter in our lives is still that, a chapter, and the next one could just as easily turn down a dark path if we aren't careful. And at least on that note, I feel like I'm speaking from experience, though of what, I'll never know. Another day, another wide smile on her face. She's strong-willed, a little spoiled, has an insatiable appetite for attention, and seems just a little more grown up than before. She's my one and only sister, Nellie. And we're standing now, shoulder to shoulder, brother and sister, facing toward the future. All right, Reincarnation chains. I don't remember. Early June. Are we going into a different thing now? Are we ever going to find out who the tenant is? I don't know. We're back with Maria. It will be a plot point that this group pretends to be a shop book club, and one of the members' sister ended up teaching the group knife throwing lessons. Look, I don't need an Alcoholics Anonymous for like people falling in love with their brother. But I would stick around for knife throwing lessons. So I'd sign up for that personally. Ah, crap, yawning on the job again. I'm glad I have work at all, but geez, could this place be any more dead? Who knows how long I can even keep this gig? Maybe I should start looking for something new. Oh, hey, a customer. Good afternoon. Pauline! Oh, look at her. She's cute. I love that.
Hey, how's it going, Maria?
It's just her.
Hey, your best friend came to see you at work. Don't be such a Debbie Downer.
Yeah, no, you're not my best friend.
Now that hurts, Maria. We've known each other since we were kids, and we even went on vacation overseas together. You don't get much better friends than that.
If that's all it takes, then I have a bunch of best friends. But sure, whatever. You're my best friend, so you'll order lots of food and leave me a big fat tip, right?
You're my best friend, so you'll give me something on the house, right?
Get your butt out of here. You don't order anything. You don't get to call yourself my friend. I ain't got no room for stingy rich girls.
I never said I wouldn't order anything. And just because my dad's got a cushy job doesn't mean I'm rich.
Like hell it doesn't. Your parents covered half our trip in March, and they're paying for you to study abroad. Here I am, slaving away after losing my last job, and you're here strutting around like royalty on an all-expense-paid study abroad. It's an injustice, I tell you, a damn injustice.
I'm sorry, I guess.
Your pity only pisses me off more.
Then what do you want from me?
I'll let you off with a cup of coffee for 100 euros.
Hey, Maria, I know how much you like to tell me I'm so naive and innocent, but even I know a cup of coffee only costs around 10 euro.
What does this banana cost? Like 25 bucks? Someone only goes to the fanciest shops around, huh? Here's your coffee. And a ham sandwich for takeout, right?
Yes, please. It's lovely outside, so I'm going to have lunch in the park.
Ah, God, how I wish I could spend my days off frolicking about in the sun and flowers.
Care to join me? You said the owner doesn't come check on you very often, right? So he'll never know if you skipped out for an hour or so.
You do realize being closed during lunch hours defeats the whole purpose of a cafe, right?
But I'm the only one who ever comes during lunch hours.
Silencio, not another word. I don't have time for you and your stupid logic, girl.
You're not wrong. The place hardly even functions as a cafe most of the time.
Which is exactly why I can't risk dragging it down anymore by closing during lunch hours.
You take your work pretty seriously for someone who looks like such a hooligan. You don't have to get so worked up about it. It's not even your cafe, Maria.
I'm sure not working myself up because I want to. I just have a bit of a debt to the owner.
He was a customer at your last job, right?
Yep, when I was at that fashion boutique. He wasn't even a regular or anything, but he went to crazy lengths to help me out when he heard I was in a rough spot. It would have taken way longer for me to get started here if he hadn't handled a bunch of the paperwork and shit for me. So I can't bring myself to half-ass the job, even if the owner himself just opened the place for kicks. So, this one, the owner opened the place for kicks. And now Giselle is kind of about to open up a cafe for kicks. Like, obviously, she cares a lot about it and wants it to succeed. But
I've always thought it was strange how he wouldn't put any money into updating the decor, even though he's got plenty to spare.
all I know is that he's told me not to touch any of it. Probably keeps a bunch of memorabilia here or something.
It's a shame, too, because you'd probably get lots of new customers if you just modernized the interior. Make it into a cute, quiet little tucked away cafe.
You're probably right. Maybe I'll suggest it once I get to know him a little better. It's not exactly the most fulfilling job as it is.
You should. And let me know when you do. I'll even lend a hand if the cafe gets too busy to handle by yourself. You're always there when I need someone to talk to, so to show my appreciation, I'll help you out with anything.
Aha, you'll do anything now, will you?
How about working as a waitress and wearing a uniform of my choosing? Oh, I've always wanted to try being a waitress, and I'm sure whatever uniform you come up with will be lovely. Do you have any ideas yet?
A bunny suit.
A what now?
You'll be in a top cut so low your tits are falling out of the thing, but we'll be rolling in so much friggin' dough.
Get your mind out of the gutter. That's a different kind of restaurant.
I'm just teasing. About 10% anyway.
Ugh, don't even joke about that. I would never wear an outfit that revealing in public.
That means you will in private then? I bet you get that bunny suit real dirty when you wear it.
I've never worn one in my life.
We're best friends, right? So you can tell me anything. Give me all the steamy deeds.
I swear I've never worn one.
It seems I've arrived late and in the middle of something.
Speak of the devil,
It's the man who dresses his girl in a bunny suit himself. Oh, are they together?
for the last time, I have never worn a bunny suit in my life.
Huh.
Thanks to Maria, I was beginning to develop a headache. But that wouldn't stop me from enjoying my date with Yukimasa. We had met about a month and a half earlier, around the end of April, not long after I had moved to Paris for my immersive language study program. Maria was already living here by that point, and one evening she took me out to a bar. Prior to coming to Paris, Maria had worked at a fashion boutique in Milan, but things hadn't worked out there and she had to leave her job. Then, well, the rest had happened as she described it. On the other hand, I'd just fallen in love with Paris while on vacation, so I decided to move here to get to know it even better. Everything was so vibrant and exciting and shiny and wonderful. I'd never felt so immediately moved by anything in my life. Maria probably thought I was here just to play around. She definitely made a few comments to that effect. Things like, what kind of starry-eyed idiot signs up for a language program after a sightseeing trip? You're in way over your head, girl. But no matter what she said, I did have more of a reason than that. She probably wouldn't believe me if I told her, but ever since the trip, I'd had this weird nagging sensation in the back of my mind, telling me I needed to go back to Paris, that I had some kind of work to do there. Maybe it was all my imagination, and I really did just want to spend more time in the city. But if that did turn out to be it, so what? I wasn't hurting anyone by wanting to live in an area I really loved. It seemed like a perfectly fine reason to me. I didn't exactly have anything I wanted to accomplish while in France, but live a pleasant life was as honorable as a goal as any, I thought. Noble ambitions are great and all, if that's your thing, but it's by no means everyone's cup of tea. There were plenty of people like me who only wanted a nice, happy life. But then again, maybe being able to think like that at all was a blessing in itself. I'd grown up in a comfortably well-off family, so I never had to worry about money. But maybe someone less fortunate than me would wow, I can't read. Wouldn't be able to even consider that same life. I didn't finish Requiem for Innocence. Also, hi, welcome. There's an important part which has to be Morgana and Jacopo in Reincarnation. It's mentioned several times. I'd recommend you to come back to it and finish. Yeah, did we miss something? I'm pretty sure. I could be wrong. There's something that's locked. All right. Love when they do that to me. All right, so we are going to save here then and come back. Oops, that's not what I meant to do. We're going to really screw with the stream titles here, but okay, we are going to return to title. Requiem for Innocence. Aha! There is a thing. Alright. We're going to Google. Okay. Okay, so going to end the stream so I can change the stream title. But I'll be right back.